When making dynamic elements on your page, it's often the case that you need to give your visitors a link to make that action happen. What I mean is, say you have tabs set up on your page, 15 tabs, and the user is going through and selects tab 14, right? Well, you want to be able to have them send or bookmark that page, and next time they come there, tab 14 shows up. You don't want to limit them because you've added dynamic scripting. So I'm going to show you a technique that's going to allow you to use the link and use some IDing to basically whatever action they're doing on the page, they can link to, and it will automatically happen again. Okay? Now, I just have here a link, a div, a link, a div, a link, a div, and then when you click them, you can see that it's just going to pound Yahoo, and when you click this, it's going to go to pound MSN. Okay? I'm going to show you in a second a little give and take that you'll do to make this work. So, first thing we're going to do is, well, what do we want to have happen? What's the goal here? When you click a link, I want the background of the box that it belongs to, maybe it would be a tab, to change to green. Okay, so let's just put that in a document.ready. That way this happens when the page loads, like that. And then we want to do this to all A tags just because we don't really have anything else going on. So when you click an A tag, when you click a link, okay, we want to get the div, which is the next element. So let me take a look at the markup down here. You have an A tag and then the div. And right now these match. See how they match? Like that. Okay? So when you click on an A tag, we're just going to say this, and then that would be the A tag. Next would be the div .css. So now we're going to style it. We're going to give it background color, and that's going to be green. So the goal here is that when you click the link, the background color changes, like that. Okay? Now you see that they're all happening, so we need a clearing action first. So before, this is our single action, so now we need a clearing action. So most of the time when you do this, there are going to be multiple elements that you're working with. So you're going to do something that clears. So we're going to have a clearing action, then we'll do our single action. So our clearing action will be taking the main selector again. Okay, so this is the selector. Now remember, this refers to the current iteration element. So this, you have to use this again to get all elements. So again, getting all elements, dot, and then we're going to say dot next, dot CSS, and then we're going to clear it. Okay, so this could be if you're doing, you may not actually have to do this at all cases, but if you're doing tabs where when you click a tab, it's highlighted, you need to have a clearing action to clear out all the ones that are highlighted. So that's what this is going to kind of do. It's going to clear all the green and then select the one. So now, when we select Yahoo, it's going to turn green, and we select MSN. Now MSN turns green, Yahoo goes away. So basically, one thing at a time is happening, which is the goal. Okay? If you look at what happens when I click Yahoo, notice the URL actually changes. If I bookmark this right now, it'll bookmark with the Yahoo. So we can use that to our advantage. Well, first, how do you get the Yahoo? Okay? Well, that's used by something called window.location.hash. Window.location.hash. Hash being that that pound sign. So let's alert that. Just alert that. Okay? Now, it says pound Yahoo. Now, if you're familiar with jQuery, you know that that's actually a selector right there. Okay? Because of the pound symbols used to get things by ID, we can use that to our advantage by the hash. You can kind of see how that's going to work. So again, now if I don't have anything, it's going to be blank. So we can test for it by saying if there's a hash, then do something. So basically, let's go ahead and do that. We'll say if window.location. Now, again, in programming, if I do if something and it's blank, it evaluates to false and it won't do it. So if there's no hash, then it won't do it. If there is a hash, however, what do we want to have happen? Well, if there is a hash, we want this to happen, right? Well, instead of writing it over again, I don't want to write this whole thing over again. We're going to kind of trigger that click. Okay? So first, we have to get the A tag that belongs to the hash. Now, if you remember, Okay, that hash belongs to these IDs of these guys, right? So what we need to do is first, if we get those guys, so if we wrap again, let me just reiterate, if I get the hash and it gives me, say I get the hash and it gives me Google, right? Sorry, it gives me Google. If I get the hash and it gives me Google, if I want to select this div in jQuery, I do that. That's all I have to do, and that selects it. So you see how this, the return value of this, gives me exactly this. So what we can do is just straight use this. And there we go. And now we've selected that div. Now we have to go the opposite way. In this function, we selected the link and went next to get to the div. So now we're going to select the div and go back to get the link. Now why are we doing this? We're going to simulate a click. So we'll do prev. Now we've got the link, and now we're going to click it like that. And this simulates a click. This will cause this whole action to go. That way you don't have to write it twice. Okay? There's a jQuery plugin called LiveQuery that kind of lets you do the exact same thing, but this is just an example of you could just say .click and it will do this whole thing. So that way we don't have to do it again. Okay? So basically what we're saying is if there's a hash in the URL when the page is loaded, okay, then do the click on that as if you had done it yourself. Okay, so if you bookmark the page, it'll kind of do it for you. Now, this isn't going to work, and I'll show you why. First, I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page, and I'm going to go ahead and do #Google, right? Now, it jumped, but it didn't actually do our action. Why? Well, we told it to .click, but we actually, at this point, have not defined the click. So it's very important that this goes at the bottom of the ready. Okay, we need to define our click first. So once we put this down here, now when I refresh this page, Google is now selected. So if I change this to Yahoo and enter #Yahoo, really? There we go. It's caching my code. That's why it's doing it. Okay, so now when I go to Yahoo, it selects Yahoo. So I can bookmark this. I can take this and throw it over here, and now say I'm I'm on google.com, and I had my tabs going, right, and a couple days later I go to Google, and now I choose my bookmark that I made, and hey, it selected Yahoo, which is great. That way it's going to automatically do that action. Now as you can see, as I select these, it is jumping the page. So now there's two fixes to this. One I don't like, one I do like. You could return false, which says don't do what you normally do, right? The only problem with return false is that it actually won't put the hash up in the URL. So now it'll do it, and it does it great. And even going to the bookmark works if it doesn't cache my code, right? Going to the bookmark works, but clicking doesn't actually make anything change. So we kind of need that to change for the whole bookmarking thing to work. So we're not going to return false. What we are going to do is stop the jumping from happening by changing the ID with adding an underscore at the end. So now we're keeping everything the same. We're just going to add an underscore, and then our selector down here, we're just going to add that underscore to it. That way the href does not match the ID. Not exactly. Right? So now we're just going to add that underscore like that. And now when I refresh, Yahoo's selected. I select Google. It doesn't jump. Google is selected, and it changes up here. It all happens. Again, Yahoo, MSN. I can bookmark MSN like that. So if I go here, it's going to load Yahoo. And assuming it doesn't cache my code, there you go. Go to MSN. Again, not caching my code. There you go. So now I can jump back and forth between Yahoo and MSN, just like that. And I'm using the bookmarks, which means your users can do it too. And now you can jump through different parts of your page based on the URL.